Okay, we're gonna start with uh, the war and branch of service that you were in,
I was in Vietnam and I was in the Navy.
and your rank.
When I was discharged, I was an E5.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted
Where were you living at the time?
on a dairy farm in Kentucky.
Why did you join?
I lived on a dairy farm in Kentucky.
Why did you pick the service or branch that you joined?
They were the only ones that would take me.
Do you recall your first days in service?
Yeah, homesick. I was 17 years old. Uh, really didn't realize what I'd gotten myself into. But after the first couple of weeks, it all worked out.
Tell me about your boot camp training experiences.
Boot camp wasn't all that much. It was like, just very, very basic. It was exercise, calisthenics. There was a lot of classroom work, uh, history, things like that of the Navy. No big deal. But it was just kind of exactly what is referred to, basic training.
Do you remember your instructors?
Oh yeah. Oh, you never forget a drill instructor. You never forget him. He's tough. He's uh, obnoxious. He's a know-it-all. He knows everything, and then he knows nothing at the same time. But yeah, you remember them.
How did you get through it?
Refuse to be beaten. You're not going to beat me. It's determination, and I think everybody who goes in there has that same feeling. They don't. They don't want to give up. You won't quit. You're not going to let some guy like this beat you down and beat you. It's just not going to happen.
Where exactly did you go? Can I answer
Where did I go
that?
when I was in overseas, or uh, I was stationed in Saigon?
Do you remember arriving and what was it like?
Bumpy. As the plane was coming down, there were rockets going off. So it was very bumpy, very frightening, very scary. You didn't know if you were going to get on the ground in one piece or not. They were trying to shoot you out of the sky.
What was your job or assignment?
I'd rather not talk about that.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
No.
Would you like to share some of your best memories or most memorable experiences?
There's really, everything is memorable, but nothing you really want to talk about. As far as I was a combat soldier, so nothing was very pleasant, or nothing you really wanted to share.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
A couple.
How did you get them?
Being at the right place at the right time.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Letters when we were when we were at our base camp, we would get mail call about once a month or so, and we were able to receive mail and send it out about the same way.
What was the food like?
Wasn't like mom. No. If you were at camp, at the base camp, it was pretty much it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't home cooking or anything like that because everything was cooked in quantity. When you were in the field, first of all, you were lucky to get food. Most of it was rice and whatever else you could scavenge once you ran out of your MREs.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
No, supplies were not plentiful. They were hard to get.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
all the time, all the time, 24 hours a day.
Was there anything special that you would do for good luck?
For good luck, I had kind of a Mother Hubbard. He was a guy that I just kind of attached myself to, and he was a very, very round person. He was very heavy. And when we would leave, he took care of my entire team. When we would leave, everybody would pat his belly before we would walk up the door. That's basically what it amounted to. We just pat him on the belly. Some people had guys that they rubbed on the head because he maybe was a redhead or something. We had a Mother Hubbard. He patted his belly when we walked away.
How did people entertain themselves?
You played cards, got drunk a lot because there wasn't much else to do over there. And the base camps were pretty much a good ways away from the city. So going into Saigon itself was not that easy of a thing to do. And it was pretty dangerous to do it. So you didn't do it often, just special occasions or whatever.
Was there ever any entertainers?
Entertainers?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Bob Hope's USO show showed up a couple of times. I was always on patrol. I never got to see it, but it was there. There were different entertainers that would come over on their own because they wanted to entertain the troops and they were trying to support them.
So kind of repetitive. What did you do when on leave?
On leave was kind of a really good thing. You could really get drunk then. That's what it amounted to. I did 3 tours, so I actually had 3 leave statuses. I went to Hong Kong for one of them. I went to Australia for one of them, and I went to I went to Italy for one of them. And it was kind of a have a good time. You just party. That's what you wanted to party and spend the money because you made good money over there, and you had no place to spend it. And when you went on your leave in the middle of your tour, you didn't really think you were going to go home, so you just blew it. You just went through it. So spent a lot of money.
Where did you travel while in service?
All over Vietnam. Uh, like I said, went to Hong Kong. So I've been to China. I've been to Australia. I've been to Italy, and this was all when I was in the military. I was stationed in Vietnam for my entire tour from 68 to 72. But I was actually able to go to different parts of the world for 30 days in the middle. So
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events
a lot, but I
that
can't
you'd like?
share them. You can't say them in mixed company. Yeah, there was. We were drunk. We were in Saigon, and there was a visiting admiral, and the guy that I was drunk with decided he wanted to drive the admiral's boat, so we borrowed it. By the time we were through playing with it, we'd sobered up and didn't remember how we got it out without getting caught. So we had to hide it. And our particular instructor, or wasn't an instructor, our particular company commander already knew who did it. We didn't get caught doing it, but he knew who did it. So he told us that if the boat found its way back to the dock before midnight, the Marines had orders to turn their heads and not see anything. Miraculously, that boat found its way back. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting.
What were some of the pranks that you or others would pull?
Oh, some of the pranks. Uh, we had one guy who wasn't too smart, and we used to have to go on certain missions that required one of us to walk. So we would put pieces of paper and battle helmet, and we would draw these pieces of paper, and we would put an X on one, and whoever drew that X had to walk. And he always drew the X because every piece of paper in there had an X on it. He was just the only one who would admit it. Nobody ever told him. Nobody ever told him. But nothing really heavy duty. Uh, there wasn't a lot of time to do things like that. You did things like that when you were out on patrols and things just to kind of ease the tension because there would be a lot of tension out there. You didn't know what was around the next corner, so you'd do things to people. Um, Nothing you could really talk about though.
What did you think of officers or fellow soldiers?
Because my team was so small, I really didn't have. We didn't mix with a lot of the other soldiers. We kind of stayed within ourselves. We were special units, so we had to stay within ourselves because what we did was not, uh, let's say, ethical. As far as officers and things like that went, we really didn't have any. You didn't know who an officer was, mainly because they never wore the bars, they never wore the oak leaves, because when it came to the enemy, they were the ones who had the shortest lifespan because they would try to take them out. It's kind of like when they talk about you cut off a snake's head, the body has no way to go. Well, the way they looked at it was that officer was the head, so they'd take him out first. And they didn't wear anything that marked them. So when you'd be walking across the camp, you didn't know who was who unless you happened to know that person. So you really didn't know. So you just kind of, everybody was just kind of there. And we didn't look at it as officers and enlisted and things like that.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yes, very much so. I was shot. So I remember that very well. I do. But days after that were not real. They were kind of hazed up a little bit. But for the most part, yeah, I kind of remember it. It was happiness and sadness all at the same time. You were happy because you were out of there. You were gone, and you knew it. You were sad because you weren't finished.
Do you remember where you were?
When it ended,
Mhm.
about 40 miles north of Saigon on patrol.
Did you work or go back to school afterwards?
I did. I went back to school.
Was your education supported by the GI Bill?
It was. They paid for the whole thing.
Did you make any close friendships while in service?
5 of the best friends I've ever had in my life. Would do anything in the world for them. They would do anything in the world for me.
Do you continue any of those friendships?
All 5 of them.
Did you join a veteran organization?
No.
What did you go on to do as a career after?
I became a cardiopulmonary therapist.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
That's kind of a loaded question. Yes, it did. I would have to say that I'm a lot more supportive of the military now that I know what they go through. It's not all the glamour that you watch in the movies. It's not like that at all. That's Hollywood, and reality doesn't work like that. So, yeah.
Do you still attend reunions?
No,
How did your service and experiences affect your afterlife?
grew up very quick. Uh, really didn't figure I had a childhood. When I went in the military, I was 17. Uh, So, and when you're 17 years old and you go into combat, you grow up fast. So it made you appreciate life. You found out how quick it could be taken away. So life became very precious. And that's not the way it is anymore out here. It's just, you know, life's cheap. Not to me.
Is there anything else you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
No.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. That was a question you didn't even have to ask. And you know it, huh? Are we done?
We're done. Thank you.
Cool.